Good evening, folks. It's your bro, it's your brother Richie Rich here. Tonight, tonight, the moment is finally here. Tonight in this video is now officially part. Tonight in this video is now officially part 5 on the Pontiac GTO. So it'll be the last part, and I'll see what else I can possibly do, because to be honest, I ain't got a clue what else I want to do, but I'll see what I would want to do for the next video, what I possibly do. I'm not too sure, but I'll see what I can do. Okay, so yeah, tonight's officially part 5 on the Pontiac GTO. So it's the finale of the GTO, and tonight in this video, I'll be talking to you about the last version, which is the Gen 5 Pontiac GTO. So before I start, make sure you guys all like the video, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think, hit the notification bell, and hit all so alert of when I make brand new uploads. Okay, so without any further ado, let's finish this. So last one, Gen 5. Here we go. Overview as always is first, so let's do it. So for overview, it's also called the Holden Monaro, or the VXR version, whatever it is, and even this in the UK, presumably. In the Middle East, it's called the Chevy Lumina Coupe. So Chevy Lumina Coupe. So that was in the Middle East. Production was from late 2003 until June 14th. So somewhere like mid-ish 2006, something like that. I don't know. Model years was from 04 to 06, obviously. Assembly was at the Holden Elizabeth plant in the outer northern suburb of Elizabeth in the Adelaide metropolitan area. So the metropolitan area. So metropolitan area in the capital of Adelaide. In the capital of Adelaide, South Australia. So South Australia. Designer was Tony Stolfo. His last name was spelled S-T-O, so S-T-O-L-F-O. Body and chassis next. Body and chassis next. Body styles a two-door coupe. Two-door coupe. Platforms of V body. It's a GMX 281. It's related to the Cadillac Catera, Holden Caprice, Commodore Monaro, and the Opel Omega. You're gonna say, well, what does a Cadillac Catera look like? Oh my god, no. If you search up the Cadillac Catera, last name is spelled C-A-T-E-R-A, you would see what it looks like, because, oh god, no. Hell no. It is just terrible. God, what were Cadillac thinking of? you got the Cadillac Catera, Cadillac, Cadillac Catera, Holden Caprice, Commodore, Monaro, and the Opel Omega, whatever the heck you call it. Powertrain is next. For the motors, we got a 5 for 2004. We got a 5. So for 2004, we got a 5.7 liter 5 point LS. So 5.7 liter 5.7 liter LS 5.7 liter LS1, and for 0506 a 6 liter LS2, both V8s. So both Chevy V8s. Pretty cool. Power output for the LS1 at 5200 RPM. At 5200 RPM, it made 350 horsepower, which is pretty good. Not bad for an LS motor, or for the LS1. So for the LS1, it made at 5200 RPM, 350 horsepower. So not bad. At 5200 RPM, 350 horsepower is pretty good. And at 4,000 RPM, 365 pound-feet, 495. So 365 pound-feet, 495 newton-meters of torque. Not bad at 4,000 RPM. Pretty good. However, in the LS2 is completely different. Same exact RPM levels for both horsepower and torque. What does it show for the torque configuration? But it is exactly the same. 5200 power, 4000 torque. However, the power output for the LS2 is a lot more than the previous. It made an extra 50 horsepower more and an extra 35 pound-feet. 35 pound-feet, 47 newtons of torque, which brings it up to 400 horsepower, and which brings it up to 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet, 542 newtons of torque. Just pretty good, pretty powerful for an LS2 motor. Transmissions is next. Two sets you can choose from the gearbox is either a 6-speed manual or a 4-speed automatic. And of those two, I'd advise you to get the manual because it just gives you a much better experience of driving. It makes you connected to it. Whereas these automatics are a bit boring, you know. Anyways, dimensions is next. Wheelbase goes in at 2789, well, 2790 if you run up. 2790 millimeters. 109.8, almost 110 inches. Again, if you run up in wheelbase. Length 4,821 millimeters. 189.8, well, almost 190 millimeters. So 400. So length 4,821 millimeters. 189.8. Again, if you run up, 190 inches approximately for length. Width 1,842 millimeters, 72.5. So width 1,842 millimeters, 72.5 inches in width. Height 1,394, right up like 1,400 millimeters, 54.9 or 55 inches. Again, if you run up approximately for height. Curb weight 3,725 pounds, which is 1,690, almost 1,700 kilos. Again, if you run up. Chronology is next. Predecessor was these two Pontiacs. The Grand Prix Coupe, and the Firebird. So yeah, the Grand Prix Coupe and the Firebird. So starting off with the first one is 2004. Here we go. So, in 2004, the GTO was relaunched. So, in 2004, the GTO was relaunched. So, it's launched again. So, launched again. So, like released. So, like re-released again in the U.S. So, re-released in the U.S. market in the U.S. market in in the U.S. market in the form of a rebadged Gen 3 Monaro. Gen 3 Holden Monaro. Um, the VZ Monaro based GTO was Pontiac's first captive import. Since the 88-93 Pontiac Le Mans, the V2 slash VZ Monaro is a two-door coupe variant of the Australian developed VX Commodore. The Monaro is also exported to the UK as a Monaro, obviously, and to the Middle East. Well, in the UK, they would have like the VXR version and blah 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 nonsense, whatever it is. And to the Middle East as the Chevy Lumina SS. What does the Lumina actually look like? Let me just double check. Oh hell no. The Gen 1, Gen 2, yeah, they're completely crap. Complete crap. Complete shitboxes. If you search up the Chevrolet Lumina, last name is spelled L, so L, so L, so the six letter name, so LUMINA. You see what that looks like. That piece of crap, piece of shit car. Excuse me for my language, but like, what? Come on, like, why? Why in the world would they make such crap like that? Seriously, like, come on, really? Just what were Chevrolet even thinking of me doing that? Oh my god. They must have had some meeting and they just think, it could be a pretty good sporty car. It isn't. Isn't that? I mean, come on. I mean, an Impala or Monte Carlo, yeah, but that Illumina. Oh God, Lord. Oh my God, Lord. Oh man. I have no words. I'm completely speechless. Like, what were they thinking of when they did that? They should have just had one more look and they decided that it was not good. They should have just reset it, but whatever. Anyway, moving on. Still, anyway, so yeah, the V2 Monaro, the V2 Monaro based GTO's Pontiac's first captive import. Pontiac's first captive import. Since the 88-93 Pontiac Le Mans, the V2VZ Monaro is a two-door coupe. So the V2VZ Monaro is a two-door coupe. Variant of the Australian developed Holden VX Commodore. The Monaro is also exported to the UK as obviously the Monaro. There's usually VXR, blah 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 nonsense. Some nonsense it was. And to the Middle East as the Chevy Lumina S. And to the Middle East as the Chevy Lumina. And to the Middle East as the Chevy. And to the Middle East as the Chevy Lumina SS. The revivals prompted by Bob Lutz, former GM North America chairman, who had the idea of importing a Commodore-based car Commodore-based car after reading a car and driver review of the Commodore SS published circa 2000. For those who don't know who Bob Lutz is, his full name was Robert Anthony Lutz, born on February 12th, 1932, age 93, from the capital of Zurich in Switzerland. So for those who don't know who he is, he's a Swiss American automotive. He's a Swiss American automotive executive. He served as so he's a Swiss American execute. He's a Swiss American automotive. He's a Swiss American automotive executive. He served as a top leader of all of the U.S. Big Three car manufacturers, having been in succession executive vice president and board member of FMC, Ford Motor Company, president and then vice chairman, and obviously of course board member of Chrysler Corporation, and also the vice chairman of GM, General Motors. Pretty cool. So his full name was Robert Anthony Lutz, but he goes by Bob. Lutz. So well, it's also exported to the A.K.A. as the Monaro VXR, the Middle East as the Chevy Aluminum SS. The revivals prompted by former GM, so by Bob Lutz, former GM North America chairman. So chairman who had the idea of importing a Commodore-based car. So Commodore-based car after reading a car and driver review on the Commodore SS published circa 2000, car and driver praised the performance of a V8 powered rear-wheel drive Commodore SS, but noted that even though it's one of the best cars that GM offered at the time, it couldn't be purchased in the U.S. unfortunately. But well, the idea of importing a rear-wheel drive Holden as a GM North American performance um, offering would so the idea of importing a the idea of importing a rear-wheel drive Holden as a GM North American performance offering gradually transformed into importing the Monaro. Let's so Bob and the other GM executives later drove a Monaro while on a business trip in Australia, hence where the Monaro is from, which convinced them that importing the car could be a profitable venture. Profitable venture. Lutz had to convince the GM executive hierarchy to import the. So Lutz had to convince the GM. So Lutz. So Bob had to convince the GM executive hierarchy to import the car and both import the car and overcome a corporate culture that prompted regional auto, prompted regional autonomy between GM North America and its overseas divisions. So between both GM North America and its overseas divisions. Say overseas divisions. As Bob described, this resulted in an unnecessarily long unnecessarily long gestation or gestation, the gestation period. So can't really say the word right, but it's spelled GEMSTATION period at a much higher cost. So at a much higher cost, so price than anticipated. The Monaro designs introduced in 2001, but appeared dated in 2003. Um, so its design was the Monaro designs introduced in 2001, the year the first Fast and Furious movie came out, but appeared dated in 2003, the year the second movie came out. So in 2003, when it's released in the U.S., it's also when it's released in the U.S. It's also originally planned to sell for about $25,000, but by the time it was launched in the U.S. The Australian dollar's growth um, against the U.S. dollar had inflated the inflated the inflated like increased the price of the car to well over $34,000. So like 9,000, nearly $10,000 more than the original price of what it was going to be originally sold for. So yeah, but by the time it was launched in the U.S., the Australian. But by the time it was launched in the U.S. So but by the time it was launched in the U.S., the Australian dollar's growth against the U.S. dollar had inflated the price of the car to well over $34,000. Both of these elements played a role in the car. So both of these elements played a role in the car's lukewarm acceptance by the general public. The GTO is assembled by GM's Holden subsidiary at Elizabeth, South Australia. It's equipped with the mighty 5.7 liter LS1 V8 motor for the 04 model year with a choice of either a six-speed manual or four-speed auto. Changes from the Australian built Monaro for changes from the Australian built Monaro in changes from the Australian built Monaro included so changes from the Australian built Monaro included bracing additions to the body to meet U.S. crash standards or regulations. To meet U.S. Crash standards crash standards. A corporate Pontiac front fascia. So Pontiac front fascia, new badging, GTO stitching on the front seats, and a revised exhaust system. Um, GM engineers benchmarked the sound of the 64 GTO, um, the best and classic GTO I always love. So they benchmarked the sound. They benchmarked the sound. So GM engineers benchmarked the sound of the 64 GTO held. So the sound of the 64 GTO held in the Pontiac 64 GTO held in the Pontiac 64 GTO held in the Pontiac Historical Collection and other LS1 powered cars. So LS1 powered cars. Um, while working with the exhaust vendor to tune the system, an effort's made to make the new GTO invoke the same sound as the original while still meeting the noise threshold, so like noise regulations required by some U.S. states. The 04 GTO exhausts additional dual system, so dual or twin exhaust system that followed the original Monaro exhaust routing. Thus, both both tailpipes, exited on the driver's side of the car. GM claimed performance of 0 to 60 and 0 to 60 in 5 point 0 to 16 0 to 60 in 5 point 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. So 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. At a quarter mile time of 13.8 seconds. Less than 14 seconds flat, by 0.2 second quicker than that, which was closely verified by some automotive magazine tests. Initially in '04, the cars offered in 7 colors: Barbados blue metallic, Barbados blue metallic. So most of these cars are metallic, so originally metallic colors. So Barbados blue, Cosmos purple, Quicksilver, Phantom black, and Impulse blue. Metallic, and the rest of them are not really metallic. It was Torrid red and yellow jacket, or jacket yellow, whatever the heck you want to call it. So yellow jacket. Okay, I guess. I mean, yellow jacket, yeah, but it's hardly referred to as like a color, you know. I mean, it is, but I mean, for the paint, for the car, man, like yellow jacket. Suppose it was like the jacket for like the color of it. I'm not 100% certain, but I don't know. So, anyways, GM had high expectations to sell 18,000 units, less than 20,000 units. But the lukewarm reception of the car in the in the US, sorry, in the US, curtailed the target. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired right now, so apologize if it get worse while I was just getting a bit tired of that. Oh my god. So, but the lukewarm reception of the car in the US curtailed the target. The stylings frequently derived, not derived, sorry. The stylings frequently derided. So, the stylings frequently derided by critics as being too conservative and anonymous. To benefit either the GTO heritage or the current car's performance. Given the newly revived muscle car climate, it's also so given the newly revived given the newly revived muscle car given the newly revived muscle car climate, it's also overshadowed by these 5 muscle cars: the Chevy Monte Carlo, Chrysler 300, Chrysler 300, Dodge Charger, Dodge Magnum, and a new Ford Mustang. So and a new Ford Mustang. Um, all of which featured more traditional muscle car aesthetics, whereas the GTO kind of didn't. So all of which featured more traditional muscle car aesthetics. Critics also pointed out the car's high sale price. Sales are also limited because of tactics of dealerships, um, such as initially charging large markups and denying requests for test drives of the car. By the end of the year, the '04 models were sold at a significant discount. Sales totaled 13,569 of the 15,728 imported cars for 2004. So there's a difference in let's see, 100, nearly 160 of those cars. Well, 159 technically of those cars imported for 2004. The hood scoops slated for production in 2005. Year I was born. Were pushed. So the hood scoops slated for production in '05. So the hood scoops slated for production in '05 were pushed into so the hood scoops slated for production in '05 were pushed into production as part of an over-the-counter sport appearance pack. The 04 sport appearance pack um, also included a taller and more angular rear wing and deeper inset front grills. Closing out the '04 model year. Closing out the '04 model year. So closing out the '04 model year is the W40 pack, featuring an exclusive paint featuring an exclusive paint color called Pulse Red. Red GTO red GTO embroidery embroidery on black anthracite seats. Black anthracite seats and a gray colored gauge cluster. The last 794 800 units. So 800 units of the 800 units of the '04 model year GTOs were equipped with the W40 pack. Next we got his performance. So this is next we got his performance. So this is for the GTO 5.7 for 2004. It was electronically loaded to 158 miles an hour. 0 to 60 was 5.3 seconds. Well, tested by Motor Trend, Auto Week tested it at 5.5 seconds. Quarter mile was 14 seconds flat. 14 seconds flat at 102 miles an hour. Again for Motor Trend, 13.82 at 103 for Auto Week. Roll holding was 300 feet. 300 feet. So roll holding 300 feet. Diameter skid pad was 0.88, almost 0.9 G for Motor Trend. Next is 2005. The Eurosport. So the '05 model year. Cars continued with the standard hood scoops. Split rear exhaust pipes with a revised rear fascia and late in the year optional 18-inch wheels. Pretty cool. The major change for '05 the replacement of the LS1 with the LS2 V8 motors. This 6-liter LS2 V8 motor had increased power and torque of 400 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet, 500, so 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet, 542 newton meters of torque, respectively. Other changes included larger front brake rotors and caliper hardware from the Corvette, and so it shared the same engine from the Corvette. Um, a strengthened drivetrain with the addition of a drive shaft with larger gearbox. I can't pronounce it, but it's spelled GIU BOS, and a larger differential flange, as well as revised half shafts. So, so a Juba, aka a flex disc, sometimes spelled as Guibo. It's like saying Guido, the little blue um, forklift looking thing from the 2011 movie Cars 2. But it's without a V, so a B. It's a flexible coupling tool. It's a flexible coupling tool used to transmit rotational torque between both the drive shaft and the companion flange on mechanical devices, such as on engines. It's made from flexible synthetic rubber and is designed to allow angular, angular and axial misalignment while reducing driveline vibration in mechanical power gearbox applications. So larger gearbox and a larger differential flange, as well as revised half shafts. Dashboard gauge graphics were revised as well. The optional dealer installed um, sport appearance pack. Oh, just for sport appearance pack. Sport appearance pack became available. It differed visually by having a different lower rear fascia. So different lower rear fascia. Along with that, aftermarket mufflers with quad chrome exhaust
spice red, metallic, and brazen or brazen. It spells Brazen, orange metallic. While both midnight blue metallic, and yellow jacket or jacket yellow, while both midnight blue metallic and yellow jacket or jacket yellow, whatever you want to call it, were dropped. Changes for '06 included revised blackout taillights, illuminated steering wheel ratio, steering wheel steering wheel radio controls or stereo controls, whatever you want to call it, faster moving power seat motors, and an interior power door lock switch. The climate control button for the air conditioning. So for the AC also had the words defog, a carryover from the '05 model year, along with the 6 liter 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 LS2 V8 motor, making 400 horsepower. Pretty good. On February 21st, on February 21st, on February 21st, 2006, Buick Pontiac GTO, Buick Pontiac GMC General Manager John Larson announced to dealers that GM would halt
Imports of the GTO in September. So they would halt imports of the GTO in September, making 2006 so '06 the last model year for the new GTO. The explanations, the inability to meet new airbag deployment standards. So new airbag deployment standards for 2007. The year the very first Transformers movie was out. The final. Hold up.
final production numbers. The final production numbers of the '06 GTO amounted to 13,948 cars, an increase from almost 14,000 cars, an increase from 11,069
Oh god.
On November 12th, 2018, in Spartanburg, South Carolina, at age 83. Cause of passing was unknown, so no idea 1054, none for 1969 or 1970, which brings the total to just 1805. So that's for the 400 RA. For the 400 RA2, they made only 246. The same for the total. That's only for 1968. They made so that's only for 1968. None was made. They made none. None was made. So none of them were made for 67. So none of them were made. None of them were made for 67, 69, or 1970. So only 246 were done. So still the least amount that they ever made. It's like the rarest for 1968. So not for 67, 69, or 70, only 68, which makes a total of just 240, which makes a total of just 246. Next we got is the 400 RA3. None for 67 or 68. And 69 they made 8,495, almost 8,500 back in 1969. For 1970 they made 4,644. 4,644 were done. So 69 they made 8,495. That ain't my turn. 8,491. 1970, 4,600 and 4,644. Total 13,135. Next is the RA4 version. None were made for 67 or 68. In 69, they made only 759. 1970, 800, 1970, 800, 1970, 804. Total 1,563. And last but not the very least, we got us the 455. Last but not the very least, we got us the 455 HO. None were made for 67, 68, or 69. Only made for 1970, which is 4,146. And that was the total they made. Alright, wow, finally done. So that is officially the end of the Pontiac GTO. Okay, so for my next video, I'll be doing some Fast and Furious cars actually, so I'll give those a chance right now. So that'll be it for tonight. So if you guys like this video, like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think, hit the notification bell, and then I'll see you later to make great uploads. Okay, so I gotta go. I'll see you guys in the next video. But until then, stay safe, have a great evening, and have a great day tomorrow morning. And I'll see you guys soon in the next video. Soon. Take care, folks. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you guys soon. And wish me luck very soon for my trip for the King's Trust charity. And just so you know, I will be away for at least a couple days. So apologies if I won't be able to do videos that much, but I will might let you know what it's like there. But I'll see how it goes. Okay, so I gotta go. I'll see you guys in the next video.